Story 1. The Imitator. I never should have gone to that bridge. It's called Crybaby Bridge, just outside Bowie, Maryland. Everyone around here knows the legend. If you go there at night, you'll hear a baby crying, and if you stay too long, you might see something worse. Some say it's just a ghost story. Others claim it's where the Goatman hunts. I didn't believe in any of that, but my friend Shane did, and he wouldn't shut up about it. "Come on, man," he said, grinning as he revved his truck's engine. "Let's see if the legend's true." I should have said no. I should have stayed home. But instead, I climbed into his truck with our other friend, Mike, and we headed toward the woods. The bridge. The road to the bridge was rough, a narrow path swallowed by trees. It was the kind of place where the headlights barely cut through the dark and the silence pressed in heavy. Shane killed the engine. Listen. For a long moment, there was nothing. Just the distant rustling of leaves. Then, a cry. High-pitched. Weak. It sounded real. Mike's face paled. "That's a baby." "That's the legend," Shane said. But his voice wasn't as cocky now. Then we heard something else. A branch snapped in the woods. Then another. Slow, deliberate footsteps. I turned my flashlight toward the trees, and that's when I saw them. Two glowing eyes staring back at me. A figure stepped forward. At first, I thought it was a man, but no man looked like that. It was tall, its body stretched and sinewy, covered in patchy, matted fur. Its legs bent the wrong way, hooves sinking into the dirt, and its face, God, its face, was a grotesque mix of human and goat, twisted into a mockery of both. It opened its mouth, revealing jagged teeth, and then it spoke, not in a deep growl, not in an inhuman scream, but in Shane's voice. "Come on, man." Exactly like he had said earlier. Shane's face went slack. "What the fuck?" The thing stepped closer, its mouth stretching into something like a grin. Then it spoke again, this time in my voice. I should have stayed home. The chase. Panic seized me. "Get in the truck," I yelled. We sprinted back, Shane fumbling with the keys. The Goatman moved fast. 1 second, it was at the edge of the trees. The next, it was right behind us. Mike screamed as its long, clawed fingers scraped against the side of the truck. Shane finally got the engine roaring, and we peeled out of there, tires spitting gravel. As we sped away, I looked in the side mirror. The Goatman stood in the middle of the road, watching us. Then, in Mike's voice, it whispered, "Come back." Story 2. The Thing That Followed Me Home. I grew up in rural Texas, where the woods stretch for miles and the night is too quiet. My grandpa always told me, there are things out there you don't want to see. I thought he was just being superstitious, until the night I learned the truth. The woods. I was out hunting deer with my cousin, Ethan. It was late, way past when we should have been out there, but we'd lost track of time. The moon was barely a sliver in the sky, and everything felt too still. Then we heard it, a low, gurgling bleat, like a goat. But it wasn't normal. It was wrong, warped, stretched out, like something trying to mimic the sound but failing. Ethan froze. "Did you hear that?" I nodded, gripping my rifle. "Let's go." We started back toward the truck, moving fast. But then, the sound came again, closer. Then another sound, footsteps. Heavy, crunching leaves behind us. We stopped. The footsteps didn't. I turned, flashlight shaking, and that's when I saw it. Something tall, too tall, standing just at the edge of the trees. Hooves, long arms, a twisted, human goat face with glowing yellow eyes. I wanted to run, but my body wouldn't move. Then it did something that froze my blood. It stepped forward and said, in my own voice, "Let's go." The nightmare begins. Ethan and I sprinted to the truck. We didn't stop until we were inside, doors locked, gas pedal floored. When we got home, Ethan wouldn't speak. He just shook his head and muttered, "It spoke in your voice." That night, I barely slept. But when I did, I woke up to knocking on my window. Slow, rhythmic. Then, a voice. My own voice. "Let me in." I didn't move. The knocking came again. Then, from outside my door, "Ethan, let's go." The next morning, I found hoof prints outside my window. It had followed me home. Story 3. The Whispering Woods. My parents always told me never to go into the woods alone. I should have listened. The dare. I was 16 when my friends dared me to spend the night in the forest near our town in Virginia. There were stories, people disappearing, strange figures seen at night. But I was cocky. I wasn't afraid of some dumb legend. So, with nothing but a flashlight and a sleeping bag, I set up camp in a small clearing. For a while, nothing happened. Then, around midnight, I heard whispering. Not one voice. Many. Low, urgent, coming from all directions. I turned on my flashlight. Who's there? The whispers stopped. Then, from the trees, a figure stepped forward. It looked almost human. Tall, gaunt, hoofed feet, and its face. It was my face. Twisted, warped, grinning. Then it spoke. You should have listened. I ran. Branches scratched my skin as I sprinted blindly through the woods. But the whispering followed me. And above it all, laughter. My own laughter. I never went back into the woods. Because sometimes, at night, I still hear the whispers. And I know, it's still watching me.